end to bullying starts with you. Sound familiar? I think we've all heard some variation of these words before, but have we all actually stopped and thought about what they mean? Chances are we've dismissed them for one of three reasons. It's not a big deal, I'm not a bully so it doesn't affect me, or I don't know what I'm supposed to do in that situation. I think we're all guilty of something like this, so the questions we should be asking are, why is it a big deal, who should put an end to it, and what are they supposed to do? So, is bullying a big deal? Well, if you were to ask anybody if they thought it was an important issue, they'd probably say that it was. I mean, we see it portrayed negatively in after-school specials and in children's films, but do we actually stop and take to heart the things that they have to tell us? We probably like to think so, but if that were true, would 160,000 students per day stay home from school out of fear? Would 4,400 commit suicide each year due to ridicule? Wouldn't those statistics be lower if we really cared? I think one of the reasons for our apathy is the perception we have of bullying. When we think of bullying, we probably think of name-calling or stealing lunch money, but if it progresses for a long time, it can become something much worse. What could begin with a simple rude comment could turn to blatant racism or sexism. What could start with getting tripped in the hallways could end with a trip to the emergency room. We have to stop it while it's still considered bullying, or we'll be first to see it turn into full-out violence or harassment. If all those people are willing to halt their education or take their own lives due to bullying, what are they going to do when it reaches the next level? We have to stop that level from ever happening. So, whose job is it to put an end to this? Most people think it's not their responsibility because they don't fit the stereotypical image of a bully. But think about this. At every anti-bullying assembly I've ever been to, they always ask some variation of the question, have you ever bullied someone before? And everyone raises their hands. So what's going on here? Nobody thinks of themselves as a bully and everybody admits they've bullied someone before? What I think is happening these days more often than not is that a lot of the bullying going on is unintentional. For example, a kid might call his friend a mean nickname, and he doesn't do it to hurt his friend's feelings, he does it to be funny. But it actually does hurt his friend's feelings. And all the people watching that know their friends and see it happening and think it's just a joke, so they don't bother intervening. Are they just going to stop and laugh if they see intentional bullying happening because they can't tell the difference between blatant harassment and a mean joke? We don't really think about the things we say or do in front of other people, do we? I can personally vouch for this because at my high school, we share our hallways with middle schoolers. We often forget they're there until we see them fighting with their teachers or getting into fights on the bus. We're in awe at how cruel they are. We often forget they're there, and another thing we forget is how impressionable they are. Those words they say, they hear from high schoolers. The way he just punched that kid, he saw it on that movie that his parents let him watch. So, those high schoolers and those parents wouldn't be considered bullies, but they're unknowingly part of the problem by exposing them to the things that could make them turn to violence. So what people don't realize is that the phrase, putting an end to bullying starts with you, does apply to them, because they're unknowingly part of the problem. But that doesn't mean they can't be part of the solution as well. So what is the solution to this epidemic that never seems to cease? It might seem like an impossible task to keep kids from going down the wrong path, but one simple thing we can do is just to be more self-aware. Monitor the words that we let slip out of our mouths. Think before we speak, is what I'm about to say going to be misconstrued? Is there a nicer way I can say this, and will it honestly benefit anyone if I do? I know it sounds cheesy, but so many fights begin with just one wrong sentence that if we actually learn to hold our tongues, it could make a difference. And just another small thing we can do is just to talk to the people around us. Let somebody know if something they said offended you instead of trying to get into a fight with them. And here's something that's not hit upon enough. Talk to all the young kids you know about what they see on TV. Let them know that it's not real. They don't have to mirror their behavior off of what they see. So, what if we come face to face with a scene of bullying right out of the after-school specials? Then we have to do more than be self-aware. We have to keep from being a bystander. Less than 20% of the people who witness bullying happen do anything about it, and I can say personally that I've been one of them. My excuse is the same that most bystanders give. What am I supposed to do when I see that? Am I supposed to tell an adult and risk being called a tattletale? Am I supposed to intervene and risk getting hurt myself? Those seem like good excuses, and they remind me of the story of Kitty Genevieve's. To those who don't know it, it was an event that happened back in the 60s. A woman was walking home from work when she was attacked by a man with a knife. She was stabbed multiple times, 38 people witnessed the event, and not one of them did anything about it. It's sometimes seen as the decay of human kindness, so if you're sitting here thinking what a terrible event it was, how is it any different than what bystanders do in schools across the nation every day? All we have to do is say something to the person committing the act. Now, it sounds terrifying, but if we don't say something to the person who takes lunch money, we'll end up witnessing the person who takes lives. Also, if one person stands up, it might open the door for other people to stand up and say something as well. We might find we're not alone when trying to put an end to this thing we call bullying. So back to that original phrase, putting an end to bullying starts with you. To say it, we must understand it. We must understand that bullying is the gateway that must be closed off before further harm can be done. We must understand that we are all part of the problem, but also part of the solution. And that solution is to show restraint, to have courage, and to be more self-aware. We must understand that when we say, putting an end to bullying starts with you, we mean, putting an end to bullying starts with me. Thank you.